All right, let's just dive right into this one. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're skipping the usual agenda because honestly, we've got a grand, sweeping story to tell you. It's a chronological journey about human evolution, technology, and this massive shift from the information society right into the creative society. And the crazy part? We're living through it right this very second.
Think about it like this. Humanity has always used technology to push past our physical limits, right? We've extended our hands, our feet, our raw strength. So what exactly gets extended next? It's kind of a brilliant anatomical metaphor, and planting this idea in your head right now is absolutely crucial to understanding the whole timeline we're going to unpack today.
To really get this, let's look at how society has evolved over time. Way back in 1990, the Nomura Research Institute, or NRI, published this fascinating book called Strategy of Creation. They basically mapped out human progress into distinct phases. We started in the agricultural era before the 18th century. Then, boom, the industrial era hits in the 18th and 19th centuries. The 20th century brought us the information era. And finally, the 21st century, the one we're stepping into right now, is what they predicted as the creative era.
Now here's where that anatomical metaphor comes back into play. Each phase of this progression was defined by how technology extended a specific part of our bodies. The agricultural era, that extended our legs, letting us settle down and work more land. The industrial era extended our hands with all that powerful machinery. The information era extended our eyes and ears with the internet and global comms. So if we follow this logic, what does the creative era extend? You guessed it, it extends the human brain.
What's truly fascinating here is how this ties into the concept of scarcity. Every single past era basically used tech and a ton of capital to solve a specific shortage through mass production. Agriculture solved the scarcity of food. Industry solved the scarcity of physical goods. The information age solved the scarcity of data. Which leads us to today's ultimate scarcity: ideas, and the actual human brains required to produce them.
To really wrap our heads around this scarcity, we need to look at a metric called idea productivity. It's an economic measure of the added value created by research and development. You calculate it by taking the total factor productivity, which is basically how much tech progress adds to economic growth, and you divide it by the R&D cost, or just the sheer number of researchers. Put simply, it's asking how much bang are we getting for our research buck? Are we actually efficient at finding new ideas?
Well, the short answer is no. We were actually facing a massive hidden crisis. According to a landmark 2020 paper by economist Nicholas Bloom and his colleagues, idea productivity steadily declined throughout the entire 20th century in both the US and Japan. Just think about that plot twist for a second. Despite living in what we proudly called the highly advanced information age, our actual efficiency at finding new ideas was just plummeting.
Let me emphasize just how bad this got with a truly shocking statistic: 18 times. Between 1970 and 2000, it took 18 times more researchers just to maintain Moore's Law, the famous rule about the pace of semiconductor advancement. So yeah, technological progress was still happening, but it required this massive, incredibly costly, and totally unsustainable increase in human brainpower just to keep up the exact same pace.
And it wasn't just tech. Let's look at pharmaceuticals. This brings us to Eroom's Law, which, fun fact, is just Moore's Law spelled backward. Since the 1950s, the number of new drug approvals per $1 billion of R&D has literally halved every 9 years. It's a stark, undeniable illustration of the grueling inefficiency of traditional human-led R&D.
Take a second to really let this sink in. The information society had hit a brick wall. Humanity was running out of steam. We had all the data in the world. Our eyes and ears were extended globally across the internet, but we were completely stuck in an innovation rut. Finding that next big idea was just becoming way too expensive and way too difficult for the human brain to handle alone.
But then, 2022 happens. The explosive evolution of generative AI. Almost overnight, this entirely new technological era arrived. And guys, this wasn't just another software update, this was the ultimate game changer that shattered a century of stagnation. We had finally developed the technology to extend our minds.
And the sheer scale of this shift? It's astonishing, especially when you compare it to that painfully slow human R&D we just talked about. Look at this. In just 1.5 years, AI generated 15 billion images. 15 billion! By July 2025, 1 in 10 people worldwide will be ChatGPT users. And daily usage? 2.5 billion messages exchanged every single day. We literally went from an agonizing crawl for new ideas to this instantaneous, massive explosion of creative output.
And it didn't stop at text. AI quickly evolved into this multimodal powerhouse, blending text, images, audio, and video seamlessly. We are now at the point where we're creating artificial humans. We can recreate historical figures like Einstein or generate entirely fictional AI actors like Tilly Norwood and influencers like Lil Miquela. There are even services out there like Electric Twin that simulate public consciousness. They generate entire crowds of artificial personas just to test public opinion.
So how exactly does this incredible brain extension solve our big crisis? Well, let's go back to semiconductors. Remember that old reality where traditional R&D needed 18 times the staff? Compare that to Google's Alpha chip. AI is literally designing AI chips now. This self-reinforcing process has taken what used to be weeks of painstaking human labor and reduced it to mere hours. Idea productivity is finally soaring again. And what about pharma? We are actively reversing Irem's law. Instead of drug approvals having every 9 years, AI drug discovery is dramatically shortening those complex upstream research processes. The AI brain is directly reversing the long-standing inefficiency that plagued one of our most vital industries. Which brings our whole chronological story to its grand climax. Welcome to the Creative Society. This is the era where ideas are mass-produced. The information age gave us all the data we could ever possibly want. But AI is giving us the cognitive engine to actually process it, blend it, and create from it. AI is, effectively, the technological extension of our brains.
And honestly, it is absolutely mind-blowing to look back at this quote from that 1990 NRI book. Over 30 years ago, they wrote, "Following the information society, a creative society will arrive, a society where the human brain is extended by technology." I mean, long before ChatGPT or AI art, they predicted this exact transition we are witnessing right now. Talk about hitting the nail on the head.
So, we've evolved from extending our legs, to our hands, to our senses, and now, finally, to our minds. Our greatest historical scarcity, ideas, is actively being solved right in front of us. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. In a society where ideas can be mass-produced at the speed of thought, what will you create? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope mapping this out as one big historical story helped put things into perspective. Keep learning, keep creating, and we'll see you next time.